Born into a broken home, raised by her grandmother for the first 6 years of her life, during which time she suffered physical abuse, raped at the age of 9 and molested for years after she became pregnant, and had a premature baby at the age of 14, which died. Today's story is about a woman whose story is harrowing, but who's shown strength to overcome her circumstances to become one of the most powerful women in the world today. If you enjoyed today's video and find it informative, it would be fantastic if you could share it with others who might find it of interest. Today, we talk about Oprah Winfrey, a woman who's had to endure incredibly tough times in her early life, but has lived to not only overcome her circumstances, but actually achieve incredible success on the back of them. Early on, she was raised by her grandmother after being given up by her mother, but living in poverty, she lived in tough conditions where potato bags were made into dresses for her, and she would be beaten until bleeding, and then beaten more as her blood stained her dress. It was tough, but it got worse, as at 9 she was raped and later molested for years by close relatives until she eventually became pregnant and gave birth to a premature baby that died, all at the age of 14. During this time, her mother tried to place her in a detention center for girls, only for them to reject her due to the lack of space.
And looking around the detention home at all of these girls who'd been placed there for being bad girls, and I remember having a moment thinking, now I am officially a bad girl. I'm now, for the rest of my life, going to be called a bad girl, because I'm going to be put in this place. And thinking to myself, sitting there waiting to be processed, that I really don't belong here, and I don't even know how this happened to me, that I am in a place for bad girls, because I didn't feel like I was a bad girl. And as I sat there thinking, I don't belong in this place for bad girls, because I'm not a bad girl. A woman comes out and says to myself and to my mother, I'm sorry, Miss Lee, but there's not enough room on our docket for your daughter. You'll have to come back in 2 weeks. There isn't enough room for her here. And my mother and I had to leave. And I was released to go to live with my father. And that was my saving grace. And so from that moment forward, I felt like I had been somehow saved, that somebody up there, out there, recognized that I wasn't a bad girl. And now here I was going to have another chance.
However, on being rejected from the center, she felt it was a sign that she wasn't condemned to suffer and went to live with her father. It was during this time she gave birth to her baby, which passed, which became another life-changing moment for her. At this point, her father told her, "You've been given a second chance," which she understood and acted on. It's from here she worked her way into radio presenting in her late teens and eventually TV, where in the mid-80s she found success in her show, The Oprah Winfrey Show. This story of Oprah's childhood is awful to hear, and while most people wouldn't want to inflict such suffering on anyone, it's because of her struggles that she is who she is today. And this is what I really want to focus on today. How is it that such tragedies have had such an impact on her success? Well, first of all, we have to understand that many of those who have achieved phenomenal success in life come from a place of extreme difficulty. This isn't exclusive to achieving success, but it is a common thread. Why is this? You see, many who suffer achieve success because their need to succeed is so much more significant than the average person. Many people have pain in their life, but if they can cope with it, then often people won't strive for change. In most cases, they would rather struggle with their circumstances and complain rather than have to deal with the difficulties to achieve success. This isn't the same for those struggling in extreme conditions. Oprah's life situation was either to suffer immensely, if she was to survive at all, or to accept the need to take massive action and change the course of her life. It's hard. It's incredibly hard, but in her case it was still much better to struggle and grow success than to accept her fate in greater pain and suffering. Tony Robbins has a similar saying: if you want to take the island, you have to burn your boats. When you're in a situation where you must achieve something, as opposed to wanting or should do something, you are significantly more likely to achieve your goal. Why is this? Well, it comes down to the simple fact that humans are extremely skilled in surviving. So when forced into a situation where our survival instincts are a necessity, many will go beyond what they thought their limitations were to do what's necessary to survive. This was the case for Oprah, and it's the case for countless others. From here, she's built an insatiable hunger to achieve her goals. She's had to work hard from childhood, and this showed in her adult life. When starting out on TV, not only did she do work as a news anchor, but at the same time she worked on a morning TV show. She's worked hard to achieve her goals, taking on multiple jobs and willing to put herself out there to achieve success. This is the same for anyone that's successful. Ideas without execution are just thoughts, and without hunger you won't execute. So, as it was for Oprah, hunger is a vital ingredient to success for anyone looking to achieve goals in their life. Now, hunger is great, but there's a significant factor to Oprah's success and potentially the greatest life lesson she's learnt in her life, and possibly the most important factor to her success, both on her show and as an entrepreneur. This is her humanity. When Oprah has a guest on her show, she's not only a good host and interviewer, but she's able to emotionally empathize with her guests in a way very few hosts are able to. She speaks to people who often themselves have had to deal with their own pain or struggle, and having suffered herself, is able to understand their feelings and relate to their circumstance. She also does this by showing a level of intimacy that others might not do, such as making gestures or physical contact that not only help her make a connection to the person she's speaking to, but also provides a level of comfort that very few can make. Again, all of this comes down to her own experiences, her ability to understand how hard life can be, and the emotional strain it can have on an individual. Her ability to connect to people is quite possibly her greatest quality, all of her skills and talent aside, as this connection is what makes for emotional viewing. And this is critical in entertainment in any sense. People naturally resonate more to emotionally engaging content more than anything. YouTube is a great example of this. People often don't just want to watch videos, but they want to watch and see people who they can emotionally connect with as well. One of the best examples of entertainment that consistently aims to create entertainment that emotionally resonates with people and takes them on an emotional roller coaster is one of the biggest film industries in the world, Bollywood. Bollywood produces a huge number of films every year, and a high proportion of these films aims to make the viewer feel strong emotions, to the point that many films are created with the sole aim of making viewers cry. Why is this? It's because the filmmakers know that this is what the majority of the audience want. And the same goes for Oprah. She acutely understands what makes for a great viewing experience and appreciates how to use this quality on her show. She's not insincere either, as again, she can relate to their pain in a way very few can. And it's not just on her show with her guests. For the most part, Oprah's generally been shown to have good relations with those she works with, including taking employees on cruises in the past, and has a successful relationship that has lasted over 30 years. In other news, she had a half-sister, Patricia, who she wasn't aware of, and rather than rush into the possibility of making a big deal of a family reunion and soak up as much media attention as possible, she dealt with meeting her sister privately before inviting her onto the show. Even then, on the show itself, when she did finally bring her sister on, she didn't take too much of the limelight, but instead focused on her respect for the way her sister sought her out, making clear to the audience that she admired how her sister managed to seek her out, which was in private rather than publicly, and aiming to get media attention. And it has continued on since then, with Oprah supporting her sister and her family in private since the meeting, buying her $500,000 home, sending the family a monthly allowance, paying to allow her to complete her education, and last year surprising her sister by visiting her when she graduated. And actions speak loudly for someone like Oprah. She struggled in life, had to deal with a lot of people she should be able to trust that have let her down, and has had to work hard to make it to the top. Many people in the same situation wouldn't have achieved anything close to what she has, and even more would naturally close up and have a selfish outlook in life due to trust issues. Instead, Oprah's overcome the challenges that have come her way and instead gives to people in a way few can. For this reason, she's not only just inspiring, but she's an example which others can look up to in their own lives.
One day, your breasts are going to sag and your eyes are going to bag and you're not going to be as beautiful. And it doesn't matter how much Botox and how many times you get yourself pulled up and how many hairdos and how many makeovers or what you do, that doesn't last. It's just like the most beautiful flowering tree. Everything passes and it's time. It doesn't matter how much money you have, how much power you have, how high you sit on the Forbes list, how many times you make the most influential list. All of that changes. All of that changes. But what is real? What is lasting is who you are and what you were meant to bring. What is the gift you were meant to give? And nobody can take that away from you.
Thanks for watching. So let me know, are you a fan of Oprah or not? Regardless of your opinion, do you respect what she's achieved despite her difficult beginnings? Let me know down in the comments section below. It would be amazing if you could consider subscribing to the channel and consider sharing this video with others who may find it of interest.